My parents took my college fund to buy my sister a car, so I disappeared for 5 years and returned with a surprise that they deserved. I'm a 17-year-old guy, and I've been saving for college since I was 13. It started with lawnmowers and rakes. Every Saturday morning, while kids in the neighborhood slept in or played video games, I was out knocking on doors offering to trim hedges, clean gutters, shovel snow, whatever it took. My parents always said they couldn't afford to send me to college outright, but if I saved, they'd match whatever I earned. It's a team effort, my dad told me. We'll meet you halfway, so I did my part. Every birthday, every holiday, asked for cash instead of gifts. I bagged groceries after school, stocked shelves at the corner store, and even tutored younger kids in math when I could. By the time junior year rolled around, I'd saved a little over $6,000. It was in a joint account with my parents. My name was on the paperwork, and so was theirs. I thought that made it safe. My sister Lily, on the other hand, she was a different story. She's 2 years younger than me, all sunshine and selfies, always with a new outfit or the latest phone upgrade. My mom called her our little social butterfly. I'd come home reeking of gasoline and grass clippings while she lounged on the couch ordering takeout on apps I couldn't afford. But I didn't complain. I kept my head down, worked harder. I told myself it would all be worth it when I got that acceptance letter, and then it arrived. Thick envelope, ivy-colored seal. My heart nearly burst holding it in my hands. I made it. I finally made it. But when I told my parents and mentioned the fund, their smiles didn't quite reach their eyes. My dad muttered something about timing being tough right now. My mom changed the subject, and for the first time, I felt a crack open in everything I thought was solid. 3 days after my acceptance letter came in, I walked into what should have been a celebration. Instead, I found a brand new, gleaming car sitting in our driveway. Big red bow. Balloons. My sister, Lily, squealing like she'd won the lottery. I stood there, still holding my college folder in my hand. "What's going on?" I asked, trying to process the scene. My mom smiled proudly. "We got Lily her first car. Isn't it beautiful? She needed to drive to school and her extracurriculars." Something cold settled in my stomach. "With what money?" My dad's expression darkened instantly. "Don't start," he said, waving me off. "It's a family purchase. Don't make this about you." But it was about me. I'd done the math 100 times. There was no way they could afford that car without dipping into the college account. My voice cracked as I said it out loud. "You used my fund, didn't you?" My mom sighed, her tone almost pitying. "Honey, you're being dramatic. We had to make a choice. Lily needs reliable transportation. You can get student loans like everyone else." "Student loans?" I repeated. That was my money. I worked for that. My dad's jaw tightened. "Watch your tone. This is family money. You don't own it." Something inside me snapped. The room blurred as Lily leaned against her new car, smirking like she'd earned it. My parents had stolen my future and handed it to her with a bow. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stared at the three of them, their faces, full of self-righteous comment, realized something brutal. They never saw me as their son. Just the worker who made their lives easier. That night, for the first time, I started thinking about leaving, and this time I meant it. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Lily's new car in the driveway, my years of sweat and sacrifice sitting there on 4 shiny wheels. By morning, I wasn't angry anymore. I was empty. When my parents sat down for breakfast, I walked in holding the bank statement I'd printed. "We need to talk," I said. My voice was steady, too steady. My mom looked up from her coffee, unfazed. "About what, sweetheart?" "The college fund," I said flatly. "You took my money?" My dad chuckled under his breath like I'd told a joke. "Your money? That was a joint account. Family savings. Don't act like we robbed you." "Yes, you did," I snapped. "That money was for college. You promised you'd match my savings?" "I've worked for 4 years, and we worked for decades," he interrupted sharply. "We decide what's best for this family." My mom chimed in with that calm, dismissive tone she always used when I got upset. Lily's future matters too. She's younger. She has her whole life ahead of her. You'll figure it out. You're resourceful. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So because I'm responsible, I get punished. She gave me a tired smile. You're making it sound worse than it is. You'll thank us one day. I actually laughed. Like I was being dramatic. Like years of work meant nothing. I stood there, feeling something inside me die. That naive part that believed family meant fairness. That believed I mattered as much as Lily did. I left my cereal untouched, went upstairs and quietly packed a bag. Clothes, laptop, a few old pay stubs. When Lily saw me carrying it down the stairs, she smirked. Where are you running off to now, college boy? I didn't even answer. I just walked out the door. Not knowing where I was going, only that couldn't stay another second in a house where love was conditional and loyalty was one-sided for the first week. I slept on my friend Marcus's couch. He didn't ask many questions, and I didn't offer many answers. His family wasn't rich, but his mom still made me dinner. Left an extra blanket and said, "You're safe here." I almost cried when she said that because it was the first time in years someone made me feel like I actually belonged. During the day, hunted for work. I took a bus across town to a greasy diner that needed a night dishwasher. The manager, a tired guy with nicotine fingers, asked if I could start that same night. I said yes. My hands ached from scrubbing plates until 3 a.m., but I didn't care. I had a job. I had a roof, even if it wasn't mine. Between shifts, I spent every spare minute studying. I applied for scholarships like my life depended on it because it did. I emailed colleges, explained my situation, begged for financial aid reconsiderations. Some ignored me. A few sent polite rejections. One advisor said, "You sound determined. Keep trying." It was the first encouragement I'd heard in months, every morning. I woke up stiff from the couch and stared at the ceiling, replaying my parents' words, "You'll figure it out." That became my mantra, but not in the way they meant it. I'd figure it out on my own. I stopped checking social media, stopped answering Lily's texts asking if I'd gotten over it yet. I went invisible. The world didn't owe me anything. My family didn't either. So, I made myself a promise. I will never depend on them again. That promise became fuel. And for the first time, I felt something new, not anger, not grief, but resolve. Because if they could erase me from their plans, then I'd build a future that didn't need their permission. While Lily posted party pics and beach selfies on Instagram, I was scrubbing burnt cheese off pans and coding websites at 2 a.m. in the corner of a borrowed living room. I got into a decent state, college through a mix of emergency grants and scholarship. Essays I'd rewritten a dozen times. It wasn't my dream school, but it was mine. I moved into a shared apartment with 2 strangers who barely spoke English and worked just as hard as I did. We survived on instant noodles and dollar store toothpaste. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. To keep up with bills, I took on everything I could. Food delivery, tutoring, remote captioning jobs. I taught myself web design from YouTube and Reddit forums. Built a cheap portfolio. Cold emailed small businesses offering to fix their websites for almost nothing. Some said yes. I reinvested every dollar: new laptop, better software, faster WI-fee. My first real freelance client paid me $250. I cried when I saw the deposit hit. Not because of the money, but because it was proof. I could build something. Meanwhile, my parents never called, not once. Not to ask where I was, if I was eating, or how school was going. The silence said everything. One day I saw a tagged photo of Lily posing in front of her car, captioned, "Hard work pays off." I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my coffee. They had no idea what real work looked like, but I didn't comment. I didn't reach out. I just added it to the file I kept in the back of my mind, the mental folder labeled fuel. Because every skipped call, every ignored message, every picture-perfect lie they posted only reminded me why. I had to win, not to prove them wrong, but to prove that I was never the problem by the time I turned 23. I was running on caffeine determination. and the kind of exhaustion that makes your bones ache. But I'd done it. I graduated without a cent of debt. No one clapped for me. No family photo. No congratulations card in the mail. Just a quiet walk across the stage, a handshake, and the knowledge that I had built my life with my own two hands. After graduation, I went all in on freelancing. I pulled in small contracts here and there, just enough to scrape by. Then one afternoon, an email landed in my inbox that made my chest tighten. "We've been following your work. Interested in joining our startup?" I thought it was a scam, but it wasn't. A recruiter from a fast-growing tech company had found one of my websites through a client's referral. They flew me out for an interview. The office looked like something out of a dream. Glass walls, espresso machines, people in sneakers who talked about innovation like it was oxygen. The CEO asked, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" I smiled and said, "Somewhere my parents never imagined." 2 weeks later, I had a job offer more money than I'd ever seen in my life. Signing bonus, benefits, relocation support. I remember sitting in my empty apartment, staring at the offer letter, feeling both pride and grief. Pride for what I'd accomplished. Grief because the first people I wanted to tell didn't deserve to know. That night, I packed my things into a single suitcase and boarded a flight to my new city. No forwarding address. No goodbyes. And as the plane lifted off, I looked out the window and whispered, "You'll never take from me again." I didn't know it yet, but I was just getting started. I hadn't heard a single word from my parents or Lily in 5 years. No calls, no emails. No missed birthdays because no one tried. I had become a ghost one they never bothered to chase. Then, one crisp fall morning, I opened my mailbox and froze. A white linen envelope sat wedged between a credit card ad and a local pizza flyer. My full name was written in delicate cursive. No return address. I slid my thumb under the flap and pulled out a thick wedding invitation. "Lily Marie last name and Brandon Thomas invite you to join them in celebration of their union." At the bottom, scrawled in my mother's handwriting, "You'll come. Family sticks together." Family. That word hit like a punch. They hadn't contacted me in half a decade. But now that there were pictures to be taken, speeches to be made, and social optics to maintain, they remembered I existed. I stared at the invite for a long time. At the elegant gold foil, the RSVP line, the Venusum luxury garden estate just outside our hometown. It must have cost a fortune, and just like that, a part of me snapped awake. I didn't want revenge. I didn't even want reconciliation. But I did want something they'd never expect: my presence. I booked a flight, reserved a suite at the venue's partner hotel, had a custom suit tailored in navy wool, stitched with a kind of quiet power they'd never seen on me before. Not because I needed to impress them, but because I wanted to walk into that place and watch their faces crack. Let them see what became of the son they threw away. For a Toyota and a smirk, let them feel the weight of what they lost. And they would, because I was coming back. Not as the boy who left, but as the man they never thought I'd become. I arrived at the wedding 2 hours early. The sky was overcast, and the venue looked like a damn movie set. 85 covered stone arches, strings of fairy lights, waiters in black vests carrying trays of champagne. I stood there in a navy 3-piece suit, hands in my pockets, watching guests trickle in. No one recognized me. That was the plan, until I saw her. My mother. She was directing a florist near the aisle when she glanced up and locked eyes with me. She froze mid-sentence, the blood draining from her face. "David," she whispered. I gave a small nod. "Just presents." She rushed over, arms half extended, like she wasn't sure if she was supposed to hug me or slap me. "I can't believe you came," she said breathlessly. "We weren't sure if the invitation even reached you." "Clearly it did," I replied. My voice was calm, polite. Cold, she blinked, trying to read me. "Well, it means a lot. Lily will be thrilled." She wasn't. I saw her later out by the photo wall. Her jaw dropped when I approached, and for a split second, I saw fear. Real, naked fear. like I was a memory she tried to bury but now had to pose next to in heels. "Wow," she said flatly. "You clean up." "Been a long time," I answered. She looked me up and down. "So, what are you doing now? Still working those delivery jobs?" I just smiled. "Something like that." The photographer called everyone in 4 family portraits. They tried to squeeze me into the shot like I was a prop they didn't order but couldn't return. I let them. I smiled, but I also slipped away later and had a quiet conversation with the venue manager, a conversation that would turn their perfect day into something unforgettable. The reception was full of fake laughter and even faker compliments. Lily twirled in her overpriced dress, basking in attention. My parents clinked glasses with guests, bragging about how proud they were of both their children. I watched from the corner of the room, sipping club soda, invisible but fully in control. The venue manager gave me a subtle nod from across the hall. We were ready, just before the cake was cut. The MC tapped the mic. "Before we continue, the bride's brother has asked to say a few words." Lily's eyes widened. My mother's hand shot up, as if to stop it, but it was too late. I was already walking toward the mic. I stood there, adjusting my cufflinks. The room quieted. Dozens of eyes on me. I took a breath. "I'm not great with speeches," I began, "but I thought 5 years is a long time to be silent. So maybe it's time I said something." I looked right at my parents. "First, thank you. For teaching me how to survive. For showing me that promises mean nothing if they're convenient to break. For proving that sometimes family isn't love, it's leverage." A murmur swept through the crowd. My mom's face went pale. I worked from age 13 to build a future. And one day, that future disappeared in the shape of a new car with a red bow on it. That moment broke me. I turned to Lily, but it also built me. Then I smiled. And because I'm such a fan of poetic justice, I thought I'd return the favor today. I pulled out a printed invoice and placed it on the table. "This venue? The deposit was made 6 months ago by a silent donor." "That was me." Gasps. Utter silence. "I paid for this entire space. Today's celebration is my gift and my closure." And I stepped away from the mic and let the truth sit there, loud and unforgiving. In a room full of forced smiles, the silence that followed my speech was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Not awkward. Not stunned. It was the kind that hums in your ears, that presses down on your chest like a weight. I walked straight out the side door and into the garden. It's a cool evening air biting at my face. I didn't want to see the aftermath. I just wanted it done. But of course they came after me. First was my father, furious. Red-faced fists clenched like he was trying to hold on to the last thread of control. "What the hell was that, David?" he hissed. "You think embarrassing us in front of our friends makes you a man?" I turned to him slowly. "I think stealing your child's future to buy another child a car disqualifies you from being a father." My mother joined in, her voice shrill and desperate. "You could have handled this privately. Why did you have to make a scene? Why humiliate us?" I laughed, cold, hollow. "You humiliated me the day you emptied that account. You just didn't have an audience then." Lily appeared behind them, mascara smudged, lips trembling. "This was supposed to be my day," she whispered. "It still is," I said quietly. "You got the wedding, the dress, the adoring parents. All I did was pay the bill and tell the truth." My dad stepped forward like he wanted to square up. I didn't flinch. I just stared back, steady and calm. That seemed to unnerve him more than if I'd yelled. Then my mom's voice softened. "Please, David, we're still your family." I shook my head. "No, you were a lesson, not a family. And I've learned everything I needed." I turned and walked away. No dramatic exit. No storming off. Just a quiet final step behind me. They stood frozen in their little garden of lies, and I didn't look back. In the months after the wedding, I waited for backlash. For angry calls, dramatic emails, some kind of attempt to control the narrative. But nothing came. Silence. And it was peaceful. Asterisk, for the first time in years, I wasn't operating out of survival. I wasn't hustling to prove something. I had my own apartment in the city, a job I loved, and a team that respected me. I got up early, went for runs, made real dinners that didn't come from vending machines. I'd built a life. A full one. I started mentoring first-gen college students. Kids like McGrinders, dreamers, the ones no one handed anything to. I helped them find scholarships, reviewed essays, even sent anonymous donations when I could. It felt like healing in motion. One of my mentees asked me once, "Do your parents know what you do now?" I smiled and said, "They don't need to, because that's the thing about real success. It doesn't demand applause. It doesn't need validation from the people who couldn't see your worth in the first place. I got to design my days around peace, around people who showed up because they chose to, not because they were genetically obligated." My circle was smaller, but it was real. Every now and then, I'd drive past the old neighborhood just to remind myself, not to hate, just to remember. That house wasn't home. Those people weren't family. I wasn't bitter anymore. I was free. And freedom tastes a lot like waking up with no fear in your chest, no weight on your shoulders, no one expecting you to shrink for their comfort. I never went back to their house. Never planned to, but life, in its twisted way, had one last message waiting for me. It came on a Tuesday. I was between meetings, sipping lukewarm coffee, when my phone buzzed with a notification from an unfamiliar email. The subject line just read, "Can we talk?" It was from Lily. I stared at it for a long time. My finger hovered over the trash icon, but something stopped me. I opened it. She wrote about how things had fallen apart, how Brandon had cheated, how their marriage collapsed in less than 2 years, how she moved back in with our parents, how different everything felt without me around. Then came the real reason. I know I messed up. We all did. But I'm trying to be better. I miss you. Can we talk? And for a brief second, I felt that old ache, the little brother in me that still wanted a family, still wanted someone to say sorry and mean it. But then I remembered all the nights I spent cleaning dishes until my fingers cracked. The couch I called a bed, the car they bought with my dreams. So I wrote back, carefully, honestly, calmly, "Lily, I hope you find peace. I truly do. But I'm not interested in reopening wounds that took years to close. I've built something new, something healthy. And I don't wish to revisit the version of myself that had to beg to be seen. Please take care of yourself. But don't contact me again." I stared at it, reread it twice, and hit send. Then I sat back and let it go. Not with rage. Not with revenge. Just release. And as I shut the laptop, I looked around my apartment, my space, my life. My hard-won freedom and felt something solid click into place. Closure doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes, it's just knowing you no longer owe anyone an explanation.